Jody O'Hara here with the Tomcat Insider. I'm joined today with Coach Brian Oakes and Coach Todd Miller from Stone High School, and we're going to be discussing not only tomorrow night's game against Long Beach, but the entire season for the Tomcats. Coach, last year, great year, 6-5. You did miss the playoffs. You're in a tough district. You scored 308 points. You had 165 scored against you. You almost outscored your opponents by 2 touchdowns in every game. And yet you come out with a 6-5 season. You got a lot of those kids coming back. What are you looking forward to this season with your kids?
We're hoping, we got a good senior class, and a lot of these guys have been playing, 2-year starters, some of them 3-year starters, and we're just hoping that, we can put it together and we're going to treat it like a staircase. You got to win one game at a time, and the ultimate prize is, to wind up in Jackson December the 4th and playing for the state championship.
Absolutely. Coach Miller, you've been watching these guys for several years. What do you think of this year's version of the Tomcats?
The town, the county, it couldn't be any more ready for Friday night. I know these coaches have been putting their time in since the last ball game against Macomb last year, spring training, summer workouts. They were up here every day during the summer, and we just can't wait as a school. I know they can't wait as a team to get things kicked off Friday night.
It's going to be exciting. We're talking about returning seniors. You're talking about the Tomcats. You got to talk about Darian Arrington. Number 10, he's already committed to Mississippi State. The kid's the all-around. You've told me before he could play any position. Talk a little bit about what D means to your team.
He just does so much for us. He can he can run the football. He can catch the football if we asked him to. I'm sure he could throw the football more, and he does block for us as well on the offensive side, and then on the defensive side, he not only hits real hard, but he also helps get some guys lined up and get some of the guys in position, and he could care less about all the attention that he's getting. He's not one of the guys that likes to rah-rah this, that, and the other. He just likes to line up and play the football game.
Doesn't have any trouble getting his head through the field house door then.
No, sir.
Out of his head. In addition to D, you got Clint Hatton coming back, 3rd-year starting quarterback. He passed for well more than 2,000 yards last year. Talk a little bit about what Clint's going to have to do this season.
Clint's grown and matured in our offensive scheme and in our program. We're expecting him to be our field general. When we're on offense, getting the guys lined up, and we've, put a few more checks in his hands this year. This will be his 3rd-year start. So we're expecting big things out of number 15 as well.
What about Randy Sellers? He's going to be going both ways. He's going to be, I would hate to be an opposing center, lining up with Randy Sellers at nose guard. And when you're on the offensive side, he's going to be at center. I'd hate to be an opposing nose guard and have to go up against number 60.
Just a strong football player. Like I said, I think I said earlier, just one of the strongest high school football players that I've ever been around. He's a great leader for us. Just a genuine good guy. And heck, he's a good football player as well. He'll play defensively and offensively, and we'll watch his stamina and see how he's holding up, that kind of deal, and rotate him in and out. But heck, him at 75%, 80% is better than a lot of them up there. Of the opposing team.
I'd like to have Randy Sellers running Indy every play for 4.
Well, that brings up the $1 million question. And Coach Oakes, you being an offensive lineman growing up, I know it's a position dear to your heart. Last year we lost our entire offensive line. I think West Jones has lost their entire offensive line. And on Friday nights doing the radio the past 3 or 4 years, that's some of the names that don't get called out a lot. Tell us about the new offensive linemen and how they've come along in camp so far.
Right now we have Josh Williamson, who will be playing left tackle for us. We have Austin Malley, who will be playing left guard. Ramsey will be at center. We'll have Taylor Ishii at right guard, and Ryan Dimitri at right tackle, which is basically a whole new group of offensive linemen. But, those guys played a little bit last year, and they've come on. They had a good spring for us, and they pretty much know the system, and I think we're definitely going to be bigger than last year, and that's a position, Coach Miller, where you can't do a lot of changing in and out. You know, those guys work together, comboing up, and this, that, and the other. They get comfortable with each other, and you know, we feel pretty good about those guys right now being able to do that, and without, you know, changing out a lot of parts.
I ate lunch with Taylor Ishii on Sunday. What's it the average weight?
I think we're gonna average Jody
somewhere in the city at 240, 245. I mean, there are a bunch of big boys up front.
You know, and that's going to be bigger than last year, but bigger is not always better. But, you know, in this case, I think we got some guys up there that pretty much understand what we're doing and look for those guys to be a good unit together.
You got those guys giving Clint some protection, letting him get back and throw, letting B run. For targets for Clint, you're going to have Cade Amaker at tight end, another senior, and Lee Redeemer at wide receiver, another senior. Talk a little bit about your receiving core.
We have, you know, Kay to be at tight end some. We'll have Jasper James also play some tight end. Clint will also be throwing to Darius Jones, Lee Redeemer, our inside receiver, Shaman McGee. We also have Terrence James, and we also have Dalvin Wilson. So we have, you know, Clint's going to have a variety of targets to throw at, and not specifically one in general, you know.
Be nobody for the defense to key on and keep that ball from getting caught.
Well, I'm sure some guys are going to, you know, lock in on number 10.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, if they do, you know, obviously they got to stop him. But, you know, also, too, we have more targets than 10.
Well, I was real impressed in the spring game with Shaman McGee, your tight end, Cade Amaker. Just great hands all across the board.
Right.
And, I mean, you know, you only got one football, so.
And that's the thing is, I mean, we're you know, on some plays we have certain guys that we're looking for, but I mean, you know, Clint's, you know, we're going to spread it around.
He's capable of taking 2 or 3 looks before he does
absolutely.
That ball.
Yeah.
That pretty much covers up the offense for the season, what you've got coming. Let's take a break. We go to one of our commercial sponsors, and we'll be back to talk about the defense in just a minute. Hudson Farm Supply at 336 Hall Street in Wiggins is your home for all things farm related. With feed, seed, fertilizer, farm clothing, horse tack, and pet supplies, including wormers and vaccinations, Hudson Farm Supply can meet your needs with a friendly, knowledgeable staff dedicated to the highest levels of customer service. If you have a farm supply related question and the staff at Hudson Farm Supply do not have the answer, they won't rest until they get it. Proud supporters of Tomcat Athletics, Matt Hudson and Joel Miles invite you to stop by Hudson Farm Supply, sit a spell, and rehash this week's game.
One lamb billet, one scratch, and 2 corn.
Thank you very much.
Come shop with us at Hudson Farm Supply.
We're back with the Tomcat Insider. Coach Brian Oakes, we talked about your offense. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. You got Ramsey's going to be there, Cade Amaker at middle linebacker. You've got a strong defensive unit. Let's talk a little bit about who's going to have to stand out for you on that defensive unit.
You know, big thing there on that side of the ball as well. We're going to be looking for Ramsey and Cade to be our leaders, you know, field generals on that side of the ball, especially, you know, senior linebacker Cade Amaker, who'll be starting for his 3rd year along with Ramsey. But, you know, Cade, you know, he's like a coach out there on the field and can help us get guys lined up and get them in position and make us go out there on the field.
Yeah, you hate to make more of him than what he is, but once again, you got Ramsey Sellers right there in the center of that line. He's probably going to take 2 guys out at the snap of the ball. What about your tackles and your dogs? You're going to be trying to fill those holes that Ramsey's able to make and that the other guys on the line are able to make.
We have Jonathan Hamilton will be playing one end. We have Tay Campbell will be playing the other end, and you know, dog. You know, we'll start out with Demetrius Johnson and Darius Jones, and probably see some of freshman Justin Smith, and you know, we got several options there to you know, mix and match on defense. You know, and that's the thing. You know, I know I said offensive line. That was one thing that didn't want to fool with a lot, but defensively, you can kind of keep guys in and out of there, rotating and keep them fresh.
And then if the opponents decide they're going to throw, you got some corners, and obviously you got D at safety, so he's going to be good there. That's what he committed to MSU to play safety, isn't that right?
Right.
So you got a great defensive backfield to center around B.
We have cornerbacks. We have senior Zatrell Quick and senior Jataris Willis, you know, who will be locking down those corners. And, you know, Darius Jones, again, you know, can play corner. He can also play safety. Terrence James also play some dog and safety. So we got some little games that we can play, you know, as far as subbing those guys in and out and keeping them fresh so they, you know, some of them will be playing on both sides of the ball.
Coach Miller, you've been calling the play-by-play for a couple of years on the radio. Those opposing coaches got to be thinking twice when they go up against the Stone D. You guys have held, you've kept the points down the last 2 seasons.
One thing I've noticed about Stone's defense the past 4 or 5 years since Brian and the staff have gotten there, and I think you've been through 2 defensive coordinators, but especially the defense you brought in, it's just they just get after it. And D is so far back. I just feel sorry for any ball carrier that gets past the defensive line and linebackers because you know he's got
speed. Yeah.
And it's just our corners. Brian has had such good corners the past couple of years. Been blessed to have just some lockdown corners, and that allows you to do so much more. It looks like with his linebackers, the defensive line, more blitzing, stuff like that. So yes, opponents. I mean, look at last year Wayne County. They come here and they only score 13 points. I mean that says
an awful lot right there. So that's how we've talked about the offense, defense. Let's take another commercial break. We'll be back in a minute. We'll talk about tomorrow night's game against Long Beach.